A very good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I am Dr. Ruhi Agarwala, co-founder of Functional Medicine Clinic, and I welcome all of you to our webinar of this month, where we are doing a live Q&A for all the parents who have been looking for answers to help their children struggling with autism, ADHD, global developmental delay, or any other neurodevelopmental delay. So in this webinar, we will be taking your questions. We've already received quite a lot of questions from the parents. So we will try to cover all of them and help you understand various reasons behind why children behave in a certain way when they are on the spectrum, what can be done to help these children recover, and also help you understand about the functional medicine approach to autism. So with that, let's start. And I will also welcome Dr. Ashwani, co-founder of Functional Medicine Clinic. And all right, so most of you may have also watched, listened to many of his videos on various aspects related to autism. So let's get started for today. So all right, so Dr. Ashwani, let's talk about the basics when it comes to autism, right? The first question that parents often ask is, why is my child behaving differently? Why is my child not behaving like, like other children of the age? And this may be due to their behavior, that they don't want to, when the parents are calling their children, they're not listening to them, or they're not showing any eye contact. They are in their own zone. They're not responding. They're not speaking.
Okay, so these children has multiple biological problems in the body. Okay, let's say somebody is not responding to the name called. Now, if we do a PET scan, which is a more functional imaging of the brain, we might see some parts of the brain are hypofunctional, hypometabolic. Means some parts of the brain are normal, some parts of the brain are not fully active, some part of the brain may be highly inflamed. And depending on which part of the brain is hypo, which part of the brain is inflamed, and which part of the brain is normal, depending on that, the abilities will be different in each child. The fundamental problem is a hypometabolic disorders of some parts of the brain. Okay. Now, if somebody is saying my child is having pica, that they are chewing, they are
Eating a lot.
eating a lot, not sleeping at night, getting hungry at night. On the full moon, it is getting more aggressive and all of that. So this is very typical of a parasitic infection in the body. So whether in the science we understand or we still sort of figuring out, it boils down to that their body is unwell. There are physiological problems in the body. And most of the symptoms are stemming from the poor biology. As we start making the biology better, the symptoms will start going away and health start coming in. So it is not a hardwired problem that it is supposed to be. That is something permanently wrong in the system. Not like that. It is a fixable problem if we are willing to work on that.
Right. So so parents, if you have been told that, okay, the child is diagnosed with autism or ADHD or any other neurodevelopmental disorder, and it's hardwired, so understand that it's not hardwired. And you will also see that your child was born normal. In most of the cases, children are born normal. They have achieved good milestone until the age of 15 months, 18 months, and you will say that, my child was absolutely normal. There was no problem with the child. And then at the age of 15 months or 18 months, the child started regressing. He was no longer responding to me. He was no longer speaking anymore. He had already started speaking, but now not. So it's not hardwired. if you start again addressing what actually led to the child regress, you will be able to help your child recover from wherever, whatever the child is struggling with. So now, as Dr. Ashwini mentioned, pica or excessive eating, we see a lot of children start chewing non-eatable things like, plastics you will see, or really hard things which a child will not be able to chew, but they start chewing that, and that's again because of so much of infections in their body. Now, now let's talk about speech, right? And of course, most of the parents want to hear their child speaking again, right? So, is that possible? Can such children start speaking again?
So there are two components of the answer. One is, if a child is a regression case, which means till 1.5, 2 years, child was doing fairly okay, and they might be speaking few words. Then regression happened and they lost communication, or they lost words, or even they became muted. Then the higher possibility of they getting back their speech is there. Correct. If from the beginning there was no speech, fully muted, then it is still possible, much more difficult. We cannot say for surety whether it will happen for sure, but there are chances now. We have so far worked with so many children, and almost all of them are improving their speech and communication, except very, very few cases, very, very few cases which we could not see any progress. But majority of them, some of them started speaking in 3 months, some of them, and these are the kids who are actually muted. They could not even utter a word. If child is uttering a word, communication is not happening. 100% it will happen for sure. There's no doubt in my mind that if few words are there, they're not communicating, they're not telling the needs and all of that. That can happen for sure. Even in those cases where the child was fully muted, those children today they're speaking. Okay. Some of them took three months, some of them within 6 months, some of them 9 months. Now depends on how much is the problem. Like I said, some part of the brain is hypometabolic. It's not fully developed or underdeveloped or under function. It's not fully functional. Now, we have to make that part of the brain better. Now, depending on what is the starting point. Some may have more problems, some may have less problem, but possibility is certainly there.
Right. So, as you mentioned, that children who were almost muted, we see that they've started uttering, they started with 2 words, then 4 words, then sentences, and now they're trying to communicate, make conversation. So, so we have seen that improvement in various children who have been a part of a program. Now, often we also see that children are trying to, let's say in 3 months, they're trying to say something, but it's not clear, right? It can be echolia, or so how much time do you think, in how much time frame can these children then start speaking? We see that they're trying to say something, but it's just like, the words are stuck, they're not speaking.
Right. So if child is at a stage when they come to us, they're uttering words, but they're not communicating, then 3 months there could be improvement. I mean, most likely there could be a lot of improvement in the first 3 months itself. But ideally, a good number could be 6 months to 9 months, where a lot of improvement can be seen.
Yes. So there were quite a lot of questions around speech. So I hope parents, also when we start working with any of the parents for the children, the primary goal is not to make the child start talking. That's not the goal we start with, right? We are not starting with any of the goals of making the child speak, or making the child behave in a certain way. Those are not the goals. Our efforts are towards creating the right environment inside the body, which will in turn help us achieve these outcomes. So the primary goal is, for you also, should not be to kind of make the child speak, or make the child excellent in learning skills, etc. We will have to focus on creating the right environment. So there's a question: what is causing sudden laugh and cry in children? Right, they're just playing, and all of a sudden they'll start laughing or start crying.
So very typical reason of self-love could be high ammonia,
Hmm.
or they could be high uh, alcohol in the body. Now, alcohol production or ammonia production could be due to infections in the body. Now, when infections like fungal infection or any bacterial infection is there, which can, as a byproduct, a metabolite could be alcohol, could be ammonia, and that can cause self-love. Okay. Now, sudden crying is another very typical thing of pain in the body. Okay, and this could be because of the parasitic infection. They have, so a lot of these children, they cry inconsolably. They cry for hours. Now, it's not a behavior that child is start crying without any reason. There must be a reason behind it. One of the reason is pain, and this pain could be triggered by a lot of infection. One of the infection is a parasitic infection, and this infection can really trouble the child.
Right. So just in continuation with that, I want to share my screen, and with this, I think we can talk a bit about more about the various root causes. So my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe Dr. Ashwini, you can kind of talk
Okay.
more about these causes, because often the whole focus is only on the diagnosis of autism and everything else is overlooked. But we want parents to understand here that if your child is on the spectrum, or any other related disorders, look into all these um, contributing factors, right? And if you're not working on these, you are just missing out on so many things that can help your child.
Right. So it's a complex pathology with a multifactorial root cause. A mother could be exposed to problems which can increase the chances of child having a problem. For example, if mother during pregnancy, before pregnancy, has toxins in her body, for example, heavy metals, for example, pesticide, for example, bisphenols and all of that. Now, whatever mother's health is, eventually will decide the child's health. If mother health is okay, child health will also be okay. But if mother is carrying a lot of these toxins, the same will be passed to the child. If mother, a lot of the mothers also start working with us eventually, and we also see that when mothers have any autoimmune problem, for example, Hashimoto thyroiditis or psoriasis, for example, then the microbiome the mother has, which is wrong, which getting passed on to the child, which predispose the child to the problem, and tendency of child getting a problem will increase. A mother has been taking certain drugs, for example, valproic acid and antidepressants and etc., that also can increase the chances of child having a problem, right? Or if mother has certain infections like Lyme infection, Epstein-Barr virus infection, streptococcus, measles, etc., that also. So there's a lot of pathology behind the problem. Now, this is not a hardwire, like I said, it is a pathology driven problem. Now, once if child is exposed to these problems because mother was in not in a good shape, or after birth child has born through c-section, child has not born through normal delivery, that can expose a child to more risk. Child has been on artificial milk and all of that, child could not get mother milk, that can expose because immune system becomes compromised. If child was under stress, that can increase more infections, that can put the child into a risk of getting autism. Of improper vaccination is another one. And typically we see during COVID, before COVID child was okay, during COVID the mother could not, parents could not take the child to the vaccination, and during after this COVID, the 2 or 3 vaccines were injected at one shot, and immediately child started having regression. So maybe after vaccination or maybe after improper vaccination could also be a problem. If excess vaccination done in a child which is having a poor immune system already, like your child was already sick all the time, they were getting frequent fever, frequent allergies, frequent infections, in those cases if you do vaccination it will do more damage. Okay, of course, genetically if your child is not able to detox better, it start accumulating more toxins, these heavy metals, then also there could be problem. lot of these children, they're already diabetic. When we test them, because the child is young, nobody is actually testing them. Now when we test them, a lot of them actually, their HbA1c is more. A child should have typical HbA1c of 4.8 to 5. When we test them, their HbA1c is 5.6, 5.9, 6, all of that. So they are becoming metabolic dysfunction already, or the immune system, like I said, is already compromised. Okay, they cannot control their infections. Or a lot of time we are also seeing that after antibiotic use, over antibiotic use, child will become more hyper, child start regressing and all of that. So it's a multifactorial problem. Some of these are mentioned here. Either mother was not healthy, or after the birth of the child was okay, but certain things happened which were not right. Some insult on the body happened and child started regressing. But then good news is, if we know the pathology, know the problem, then we can work on that slowly, gradually. We eliminate the problem out of the body and start adding health to the body. And eventually you will see that the child is getting better.
Right. So now, given we've spoken about so many contributing factors, right, be it vaccines, infections, heavy metals, nutrient insufficiencies, etc., how do we know what the child has, right? What exactly is the issue with the child? Because, uh, of course, sign and symptoms will help us with some information, but then how do we know what's going on inside the body? And the only way to do that is to get a detailed evaluation done, a detailed testing done, right? And here, evaluation, I'm not referring to a certain score, which will help us with the behavior kind of assessment, but I'm referring to the various investigations that can be done. So let's understand what kind of investigations would be needed to understand now what are these root causes, to understand what is at play in your child's case. So the first test would be a detailed blood work. Okay. Now, in the blood, we can assess all the nutrient markers. We can assess how the organ function is, the liver, kidney, um, the lipid profile, the hemogram, which will give us a lot of information about the infection markers. We can get to know about the inflammatory markers in the body. Also, the heavy metals in the blood can be tested. In addition to this, a lot of metabolic markers can be covered in the blood, right? So that's a basic test that is needed to start with. Of course, it's not a complete investigation, but blood work is a basic that we can start. The next would be to understand how good is your is the gut health, right? Because you will see that the child's gut is also compromised, um, and it is connected with the behavioral symptoms of the child. So a gut health test will help, which will help us understand what kind of gut infections are there, yeast overgrowth is there, Clostridia, etc. The mitochondrial function is very important. Again, certain metabolic markers are also covered in a gut health test, which is it's basically an organic acid test, right? Which is a kit-based test. The third test that is also useful is a hair sample analysis for heavy metals and minerals and their ratio. So we have tested in the blood. Now, again, it's not it gives us what is floating around in the blood. To know how much is deposited in the body, a hair sample analysis is a very good way to test that. And then you will know, okay, how much is deposited in the tissue and how much is um, flowing around in the blood. So at least if we do these tests, these give us a fair decent picture of what is going on in the child's body along with the sign and symptoms. Dr. Ashwini, you have anything to add here?
Right, I think this is enough to start with. I mean, a lot more testing can be done. We can do gut microbiome, we can do certain genetic testing, but at end of the day, we cannot solve all problems at once. So we have to start at basics, start setting the basics right. And sometimes this is good enough even to solve the problem.
Yes. And so, all right. So many times, what is overlooked is the physical problem that the child is undergoing, right? The entire attention is only on um, what is manifesting more in terms of the behavior, or what they're not able to do in comparison to the other children of their age. So do you want to talk more about that?
I think um, parents want their child to, you know, become normal. Okay, but we miss out the underlying problems, and we're just doing a lot of trainings to the body, but underlying to these issues, there's so much happening in the system. For example, chronic constipation can make the child very angry, right? Some of these children might be very, very thirsty all the time. They might be drinking pee. So this is very, very simple way to look at the cellular hydration is not happening, right? Lot of time hyperactivity is connected to a fungal infection. And how do you know that a fungal infection is there? The skin might be having eczema, or they're itching their vagina, or they're itching their penis, right? So a lot of time you will, looking at the superficial problems in the body, you can sort of point towards bigger problems. And those bigger problems are behind the behavioral issues, not that behaviors are happening out of nowhere.
Right. So, a message that we parents we wanted to share here is that please do not overlook the physical problems that your child is experiencing, because often it goes, covered because of so many behavioral issues that the child is struggling with. Now, how does functional medicine really help with, kind of in helping children's recovery who are on the spectrum? So, do you want to take through certain steps?
Right. So what are we trying to do in functional medicine? Let's say we are saying the brain is hypometabolic. Right? We want to improve the metabolic function of the brain, which means we want to grow more mitochondria, we want to grow more neurons in the brain, so that that function of the brain will get better. The specific part of the brain becomes more healthier. Now, how do we attain that? Now, there are some interferences that are happening in the body. There could be toxins, there could be infections in the body, there could be deficiencies in the body, there could be hydration problem, there could be lack of grounding to the body, there could be high toxicity of the EMF that is from Wi-Fi and mobile towers, etc., etc. Or there could be food allergies. All are contributing to the poor brain function, poor brain metabolic function. Now, our job is to find out. We test the child to see where are the problems. Then, accordingly, we put up the right dietary plan. We put up the right plan to clean out these infections systemically. We put up the right plan to reinstall healthy microbes and give the right probiotics over a period of time. Slowly, gradually, we start eliminating these toxins from the blood, from the tissues, from the bones, and we start nourishing the body and specific targeted supplementation for the mitochondria. Now, mitochondria across the body in the brain start getting better. Size of the mitochondria, quality of the mitochondria start getting better. Number of the mitochondria will start getting better. Then that part which was hypometabolic in the beginning start getting its action back, and corresponding to that organ, symptoms of the child or the lack of skills of that child start getting better.
Right. So I see some questions in the chat. What is a supplement for improving communication? What is a supplement for this? What about GDD? So parents, there is no magic pill that we can suggest, unfortunately. It will be quite some effort to put into to help the child recover. And if I have to, like how Dr. Ashwini just mentioned about, how eventually things start changing. So if I have to tell about specific step, the first would be to understand the child sign and symptoms. Based on that, getting certain detailed evaluations done here. I mean, the investigations so that we can correlate the biomarkers with their sign and symptoms. Based on that, a personalized protocol has to be made where we address those root causes, then with the specific supplements. Okay, because otherwise randomly suggesting a supplement for communication, it's too much of guesswork. We have to be very specific when we are suggesting any supplement. And along with that, of course, a very detailed diet has to be implemented, which is, of course, gluten free, dairy free, sugar free, and at the same time, very nutritious for your child. So, with the diet, we nourish the child, we help the body to detoxify, we help in improving the gut health, and a lot of lifestyle changes that as a parent you can do for the child, around the child, in the house, which will help in the child's recovery. This has to do everything with what kind of lights the child is sitting under, what kind of water the child is drinking, how are things around the child, how to protect the child from the non-native EMF, everything that as parents you can change for your child so that it can help in the recovery. Now, so as
Another aspect, just on the supplement, I want to add.
yeah,
See the dynamic situation in the body. Okay, so like I said, some part of the brain has got regression because some part of the brain which was healthier has become unhealthy, hypometabolic. Something might have led to the problem. Typically, infections and toxins are the reason behind it. Now, let's say you give one supplement to try to fix that part of the brain, but the causative, the damaging forces are still there. You repair, damage will happen. You repair, damage will happen. So if you want a sustainable relief, you first have to remove what is causing the damage, then you do the repair. If you don't remove the damaging things, then it's sort of a, you get some gain, you again go back, you get some gains, you go back. So really it is has to be very, very comprehensively done. You cannot give one butter spread and there's some things like that available that they can fix hyperactivity in the spread form. It doesn't really work. It's far more complicated problem.
we see that happening, that certain supplements or certain intravenous things which can help the child, you will, when you give it to the child, you see very good improvements, but then it doesn't stay long. All right, these are very short lived, these are and that's because the damage is continuously happening. You have not done anything about the damage, and so things will spring back again. So it's very important that you start early interventions, and it's never too late to start. Even if your child is 12, 14, 15, 16, please start working on the root causes so that whatever recovery is possible, you can bring that to your child. So we spoke about the personalized protocol, and at the same time, we also believe in empowering the parents, because end of the day, it's the parents who will have to implement what is recommended, right? So as parents, you have to be empowered, you have to be educated uh, to understand why we are recommending this, why we are recommending this kind of diet, why we are recommending you to protect your child from the non-native EMF, why the gut health is important. So, to help parents understand these aspects, a very important component of our program is the educational part, where we have live sessions which Dr. Ashwani conducts, and this is to impart knowledge to the parents and also to interact with them. So, just a personalized protocol will, of course, help, but then the education will help in sustainability. So, all right, let's move on to another uh, category. So, we had a lot of questions for cerebral palsy. So, Dr. Ashwini, you want to share how we can help parents, children with cerebral palsy?
Right. So now in autism or ADHD, we can say the problem can resolve to very, very good extent. Cerebral palsy, we might not say that it can 100% get recovered. But at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? We are trying to do a brain repair. We're trying to do nerve repair. We're trying to do mitochondrial repair. Okay. As a consequence, a lot of the problem will start reducing in their body. Okay, we're just nourishing their body, supporting their body. Typically, this nerve damage is happening because of multiple reasons. Okay, during uh, delivery, probably some damage has happened in some part of the body or the nerve and all of that. So we're just trying to create those right conditions so body can do better repair, faster repair. So some level of recovery will be made in CP also.
Okay. Yeah. So some level of recovery is possible with CP. And I see a couple of questions on speech again. So whether a child who is 11 or a child who is 12, is it possible for them to speak? So parents, we have seen children of this age also, kind of catch up with speech after we started addressing the root causes. So it is possible. We have one child who is 12, and he was a non-verbal child, and now he is participating in school debates. So that's the amount of recovery that has happened over 1 year for that child. So all right, I think we can take some questions from the chat. Okay, so one thing that I think we should cover is about the seizures in children, right, which we see again very common.
Right. So seizures is again a neuroinflammation. Okay. Okay, now first of all, child will get diagnosed with one problem. And this problem is typically happening because of the underlying problems in the body, like I said, infections, toxins, etc., which is causing the inflammation, which is causing the problem. Now, as the child will grow in their life, the problem can also grow. As the problem will grow, inflammation increases. Inflammation in the brain will increases, then they become more at risk of seizures. So seizure is also not something coming from outside. It's in the body because conditions are very, very bad. There's high inflammatory state in the body, in the brain. That is leading to the seizures. So again, if we start removing the inflammation, the reasons behind the inflammation, then the severity and the tendency of the seizure will also get better. But if we don't do anything about it, we are only purely depending on suppressant drugs, which is fine. Nothing wrong with suppressant drugs. They're very, very useful. But then they don't address the problem. They don't remove the causative factor. Now, sometimes what happens, even initially drug is working, over a period of time, even the drug is not working. Even in the presence of the drug, the child is having seizures because problem has grown big time. At any point, if you really have to solve the problem, you have to see what is causing seizure. Then you
Yeah.
start removing the causative.
Yeah, so connected to that, we have a question from Likita where she's saying the child had absent seizures for a few months, and then they were advised valproic acid twice a day, and after that his hyperactivity increased. So the seizures have stopped, but the hyperactivity has increased, and they've been asked to continue the medication for a year. So give now the parent is concerned that of course there will be side effect of the medications being given.
See, again, we know for a fact Western medicine is a symptomatic relief, right? Something is causing seizure and same something is causing hyperactivity, right? And like I said, any problem when the child is younger, the problem is less. When the child is becoming growing in their age, the problem will also grow in with their age. And
Yeah.
then outcome and manifestation can also increase. Now, certainly any drug will come with their own side effects for sure. That is, everybody knows about it. So bottom line, whatever the reason behind hyperactivity is the same reason causing seizures. Now let's start solving the problem. Then there comes a time when you will be able to wean off valproic acid also.
Right. So, okay, how do we measure if the brain is recovering or not? Can a PET scan help?
Yes, yes, it can. But it takes time. Let's say you do it every month, you might not see a change. You do it after 9 months of hard work, you might see a big change.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So an interesting question is why the child doesn't have fear of something like animals. So Shivai, I think we see this that children they don't fear any animal, or they're not afraid of any heights. I mean, it's just like they are just fearless children. And on the other hand, we have the other kind of children also on the spectrum who are so fearful.
So there's an imbalance of hormones. The threshold to pain is higher. See, not, another interesting thing, if people can relate to it, a lot of these children are in their own zone, zoned out. Anybody taking bhang, they get zoned out. So, a lot of the fungal metabolites are like opium. They're close to opium. So it's without child eating any opium, they're high on opium because fungal infections in the body will produce certain metabolites which action on the brain, and they're zoned out, and they could be developing higher threshold to pain and fear. But as we remove those infections, hormones will come into balance. Those unnecessary chemicals produced by the fungal will get washed out. Then they start coming to normalcy.
Right. So let's talk about a bit about the diet, right? Now we're talking about a GF, CF, SF diet, right? And the next question the parents have is, what if my child is not able to follow it? My child loves to eat on one hand, the child loves to eat all the junk, and on the other hand is the child is a very picky eater. So how do we handle these two kind of set of children?
Okay, now see, you have to understand what we're trying to do is not an easy problem. 99 to 99.9% of the healthcare professional doctors say this problem cannot be solved. That means it's one of the toughest problem to solve around the globe. Okay, that is why it is so called irreversible problem. So if we have to solve such a problem, you cannot make a compromise. Okay, you have to do what is required. That is the first thing. Second is liking, disliking is short period things. Okay, today, child is having 10 options. He will choose what he likes. But child is only given one option. Child has to eat what, because hunger is inherited. Liking, disliking, we are not born with it. We only like it, disliking after we are born and we are given options and all that. Hunger is something we are born with. Most cases, once a child is hungry and only thing that is available is a healthy thing, child will eat it. 1 or 2 to 3 days, the child can give a trouble. After that, child has to eat it. Okay. So I think please come out of this mindset liking disliking my child is a eater and all of that. You want to repair the brain, you want to get the chances that the child should become normal or towards normal, then please just make your mind. Okay. And we have worked with so many children, they are so picky eaters, few of them only
Yeah.
drink milk, few of them only do this, only do that, but after slowly not needed, don't do it, that's it. Child will accept that. That's how we all humans are. We are malleable. Child is more malleable than you and me. See, when you and me get a problem, we will change our diet, right? This is how it is. Whatever we liking, disliking, after some time, okay, my God, I have a problem now. Doctor has told I have to change. Child is much easier to change because their liking, disliking has not become so strong.
Right. I remember there was one child who would only drink milk and biscuits, right? And the child would not eat anything else, just milk and biscuits. Um, and in 3 months' time, that child was able to start accepting different kind of food. Milk and biscuits were completely stopped for the child. He started accepting different kinds of veggies, fruits, grains, right? So if the child's microbiome is not diverse, he will not be able to accept, he will not be able to digest anything else. So you'll have to provide that support to his or her body so that they start accepting different food. So do not worry if your child is a picky eater. Do not worry the child is eating a lot of junk. Give the child the right things to eat. You may have to struggle in the beginning. It may be tough, but then it's worth doing. All right. So, I think I'll take one question from the chat. Rest we have covered. Is autism related to physical growth of the brain? Can functional medicine help with growth-related problems of brain and weaker muscles and less muscle endurance?
Correct. So if you do a PET scan in these children, some parts of the brain are hypometabolic. Literally means some part of the brain are not fully developed. Yes. So we are developing that, regrowing that underdeveloped part of the brain in a way. Yes. And muscles is also mitochondrial. Brain has highest mitochondria, then comes the muscle. So as we improve the mitochondria in the body, in the brain, in the muscle, both sides gets better. Then hypotonia gets better.
Yeah.
They become enough power in the muscles also.
So one question regarding testing, how do you evaluate the child without the blood test if the child stays abroad? So Devi, if the child is abroad and you cannot do the blood investigations there, we can go with the kit-based test, which will help us with um, as much of information possible. Of course, the blood work, is not possible. That's okay. But at least we can still test for the heavy metals, the gut health, mitochondrial health, metabolic. A lot of those markers can still be covered with the kit-based test. Uh, all right. So let's open for questions. Ritu, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask you, this junk food problem is also related to the addictiveness, like they say, our kids get addictive very easily to something.
Sorry, this germ, मैं समझ नहीं पाया question आपका.
Like some psychologists, when we go for some screening or something, and then they say they get addictive to things very easily. Um,
Right.
so because they keep asking us, so
So
is it junk food also related to that? And if not also, then वो addictiveness के लिए something we can do from food side.
right. So lot of the addictiveness happens or cravings happens based on the poor microbiome. Now, let's say we have more fungal infections, then we will crave for more sugars, more refined foods, more
Hmm.
sugary things.
Hmm.
So it's not about only the child; it's about this microbiome. Now, this can cause a lot of this addiction. At least if clean out these infections over a period of time, then addictiveness will come down. And second, of course, a lot of these foods have come with the addictive substances. Let's say somebody eating chips
Yeah.
and kurkure, it has certain addictive substances added to them by the companies, so that they keep asking for again and again. So, but
Okay.
if we stop it over a period of time, it gets washed out, and then the addictiveness will go away. So, a lot of
Yeah.
these derivatives are very addictive in nature.
Also, sir, there is addictiveness regarding like suddenly liking some particular color, just asking for that color only for many days, or then some or just spinning the thread around the fingers, or some such habits. Are they
So,
also into addictiveness? Um,
now, again, Ritu, certain things, now because our child is diagnosed, everything we think it is a problem. Even
hmm,
a neurotypical child can have liking to one particular thing for a long period of time. After that, they move on to another thing. This is typical growth of a child, right?
okay.
Even a
Okay.
neurotypical child might like something to do for 2 months. After that, they forget about it and start doing something else. There's something else. So we cannot call it as a problem. Every problem in every behavior
Hmm.
that we see in a child, we should not think it is a problem. It just simply be
Okay.
a just a childhood phenomenon.
Okay,
Uh,
one
like that.
last thing. Like for gadgets, they say particularly कि नहीं, gadgets ka addiction they get very fast or something. Is it also something similar on the lines of neurotypical kids, or it has to be handled, or it is a part of some brain issue?
See, no, Ritu. You and me are also addicted.
Hmm. Yeah.
So can we say it is because the child has certain issue that is why they are addicted? No, it is simply like that. Even very healthy people are addicted to it, right? But then after addiction, they become unhealthy for sure. right? We are all becoming that, right? So I don't think because child has autism that is why they are addicted. No such thing.
Acha. Okay, that's good. And sir, I have a very matlab, different kind of issue related to the payment or something that I will ask you in like end. Just before closing, you please ask me about it.
So
I
for
will.
Okay.
any operational questions, Ritu, please reach out to Dr. Meera. She's there in the participant. You can connect with her, or she will connect.
Uh, what's the name, ma'am? Once again, you can
Uh,
repeat the name.
yeah, Dr. Meera, she's there in the. Dr. Meera, please connect with Ritu later.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Madhu, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hi, doctor. Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask one question. With this functional medicine, is it possible to reduce the spasticity? Because my kid has spastic at joints and each and every part in his body, but not 100%, but at least for few times, like when we see when he gets some fear or something like that, the spasticity increases so much. So, with this medicine, is this possible to make his body smooth and remove the spasticity?
It can be reduced, Madhu. Yes.
Okay. So complete body with, he has spastic at neck, joints, elbow, and everywhere.
Yes. 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 So again, like Madhu, let's understand again what I'm trying to say. We're just allowing the body to repair itself. We're trying to create those conditions so body can repair itself. Okay. We are not doing specific things for this and that. Now, any child comes to us, they were non-verbal. We did not do anything specific to make them well, just making their body healthy. Whatever wrong we're trying to remove, what is good we are trying to add. Now, spasticity could be as simple as magnesium deficiency can cause that more spasticity, for example. Now, if we test for magnesium, if magnesium is low, we give enough magnesium, then also muscles become more relaxed. So sometimes some basic stuff itself can make a bigger change.
So hope that answers your question, Madhu.
Yes. Like the other thing is the most of the questions, whatever related, are related to autism. So, is there any kind of success stories related to cerebral palsy, kind of specific to that? It might help me to. I mean, every kid is different and every problem is completely different. I just wanted to understand how better we can make the CP kit.
Okay. I think Dr. Ashwini's connection is gone. So, Madhu, now, of
But
course,
we lot of
yeah, go ahead, Dr. Ashwini, go ahead.
so we can check into our database and see a lot of parents are working with us. We can, typically we don't go asking them whatever feedback they to give receiving. We can look at our messages and all of that. We can share Madhu with you, whatever information we have.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm also concerned about the focus and distractions which he has. So I think even that will get reduced with this, increased with this medicine and everything.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Uh, Bharat, you can go next. Please unmute yourself.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Rui, Dr. Ashwini. Yeah, I think thank you for having this meeting. Yeah. So my I think was I think I think already I think you said that like for like it typically takes one to 1.5 year if we follow this to like recover the like at least like almost like recover like somewhat recover the child from autism. Like my like main question was like regarding this stem cell therapy, which like earlier like there was a lot of buzz around it, but now it like there's new kind of buzz that you go for a biomedical treatment or I think similar kind of treatment which heals the gut and then you go for the stem cell therapy. But like actually I don't want to go for like such kind of therapy. So I just want to ask like is that really like needed or can we like just follow this program
Okay.
for 1 year or 2 years or
Let's understand the basics about it so that we can understand it better. Application of that. Okay. So what is stem cell therapy doing? Basically, they take stem cells from outside or from the same child, and either intravenously or in the spinal cord, these stem cells, so that they can reach the brain. And wherever brain was not healthier, these stem cells can turn into a healthy brain. Correct? Now, I mentioned if causative is still there, let's say the infection and toxins are still there, you put the stem cells, brain gets healthier, there's an improvement, but the problem is still existing. They can still go do the damage once again. Whatever the sort of gain is done, probably it's sort of undone once again. That is possible. So what are we trying to say? Let's remove the problem, add the good stuff into the body, and allow the body to repair its own self. Now, stem cells are there in the body anyway, right? Body can use its own stem cell to repair the brain. Let's say after you work with 1.5 year, 2 years, this some still things are pending. Let's say 80% improvement has happened, but still you want more. Then after that, if you do stem cell, probably it'll give you sustainable results. But we're allowing the body to do it. In stem cell, you take it from outside or within from the body to bring it more closer to the brain, much faster.
Okay, okay, but we are saying like it's not like a mandatory kind of thing, right? Like you're saying that yeah, it's possible
not.
without it as
Exactly. So body has the intelligence, right? These stem cells are there in the body. You just have to allow the body to use them more efficiently.
okay, okay, yeah. Thank you, doctor.
Okay, Harini, you can go next. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much. Hello, doctor. I have a few questions. So you said like there could be potential damage to the brain because of which our kids are autistic in general, right? So could you just throw some light on what kind of damage could have happened and how to like get dive deep into that area and like try rectifying it and working on it to maybe manage it. I can't use the word cure, I know, since autism is a broad spectrum and it can only be managed. And also what steps do you follow like in your protocol? Like I'm a new like mother, like getting into the world of autism, but I would like to know the protocol and how do you start working on the damage and repairing them and then finally treating them with supplements.
So first question is what can cause the damage? Is your question right, Harini?
Yes, doctor. Like I had a series of questions, so I was trying to put everything into one. So you could start with the damage.
What can cause the damage is what your question is, right? First thing.
Yes, doctor.
Right. So a lot of the children, if we expose to a lot of screen times, now screen is not only screen, right? There's a lot of Wi-Fi associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then also brain can get damaged. Brain frying can happen with a lot of Wi-Fi. And child, where the skull is not fully developed. You and me, skull is fully developed. In a child, you look at a skull, some part of the skull is not fully developed. So their brain tissue is more vulnerable to the EMF than you and me. So the brain can get fried, right? Now, some part of the problem is also autoimmune in nature. So if you take gluten, if you take dairy, if you vaccinations, they can also drive up the inflammation in the body. That inflammation can do the damage some parts of the brain. Okay. Heavy metals go deposit in the brain, trigger more inflammation, can do damage in the brain. So likewise, deficiency. So brain is sort of, as a child is developing, brain should also be developing. Brain should also be repairing and growth has to happen. Let's say deficiencies are there in the body, then also normal repair will not happen, normal growth will not happen. So some part of the brain will not get fully developed. Could be multiple reasons which is causing the damage or stopping the development, normal development. Now, which part of the brain are affected? You can do a PET scan and you will sort of, some part of the brain may be a red zone. Typically they say hyperactivity, but actually it's inflammation. Some part of the zone are blue, which means they're hypometabolic, underdeveloped. Right? How do we fix that? We test the child, we see which infections are there, which toxins are there, what is the metabolic function based on the different testing. And then We're just trying to add what is required, and we are trying to remove what is unwanted in the body. As simple as that. Of course, there are a lot of nuances to it, but then fundamentally trying to give what body needs. Structurally, its body is made of the fats and proteins and phospholipids. Right? A lot of these are low on proteins, very low on proteins. Even the normal repair and development is not happening. Right? So start adding what is required. Test will confirm a lot of these things. This is missing, this is missing, this is missing. And we start sort of doing it.
So everything is based on the food, like basically the nutrition plus the supplement, doctor, or is it like the whole biomedical approach is non-invasive, right? Based on my understanding.
Yes, non-invasive. Yes.
So it's purely diet, lifestyle changes,
There is no
and
way,
also supplements.
let's say amygdala of the brain is underdeveloped. There's no way you can only develop the amygdala, rest of the brain is like that. There's no way, right? Even one part of the brain or 10 parts of the brain, you have to make it better. You cannot do anything about it externally. You just have to allow the body to do it for itself.
Correct.
The body will only do it. We have to use the intelligence of the body to do it. For that, we have to create the best of the conditions so that body can use the raw materials and put it there.
Correct, doctor. So, and I would like to discuss more in detail. Maybe I'll contact you like after this call. Maybe someday we can set up an appointment. So I would like to discuss in detail. To like, I would also like to get my kid registered with your like treatment plan.
Okay, Harini. Sure.
Harini, you can connect with Dr. Meera and she can guide you further. Okay.
Sure. And is it there in the chat, like that number, right? Like
Yes.
the number that you...
Yeah, she will.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to ask my query.
No
Sure.
problem.
Archana, she's raised her hand in the chat. Archana, you can ask your question if you're there. You can unmute yourself. Are you there, Archana? All right.
Hello, yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, Archana, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, hi, actually, sir. Hi, Ruhi, and all, right? So the thing is that I have seen a very good review of Ashwani Garg, right? That many kids are getting recovered by his, supplements and all. I have, viewed on television show also his, his efforts for, for making the children, to get well and, so on, right? So in my therapy, some lady, referred me his name, Ashwini Garg, that you can just have in contact with him, Archana, and your kid is very nice. My daughter is, 4.2 years old, right? But she have some bit of hyper active also, and she's and her understanding is well, she's understanding everything, her commands as well, she's following the commands, instructions, but she's only, we are going through the therapy since, you can say like this last 1.5 years, right? And she's only using the words mama, papa, dada, baba, de do, le lo, nothing more than that, right? So we are into a depression kind of situation that, my daughter is of now of age of 4.2 years, right? And afterwards she will be getting admission, or she will get admitted in a very good school, like, so this the major fact that we are getting into tension like this, right? The therapy though, we know that we need to do for these kids, right? This kind of kids, she have already reviewed in our, she had already have the evaluation in therapy center also. He told that she is not having any autism, but she is a delay kind of child. Delay, what kind of delay? ADHD. So she has some bit of hyper, and she's, now she's using the grip also. She's writing also by herself, but she's not speaking any sentences, sir. So I'm in a lot of depression kind of, you can say like this, a situation in my home, like, that our daughter is not recovering from therapy. We haven't done any medication till yet. We haven't done any homeopathic, any kind of medication. We haven't done.
Right. So
So
first of all, Archana, I know the pain in the mother or a parent. Please don't be depressed about this. Is very, very solvable problem. Okay.
hmm,
Yes, it demands change, it demands effort, but it's just a lot of time we have to just fix the problem. I'm sure if child is having mild problem, it's more simpler to solve.
but she's now phase 4.2.
Problem. Don't
We haven't.
worry. I'm telling you, don't worry about the age.
Mhm.
Okay. She's at a age you can solve the problem. Almost the problem can be resolved. Okay. So at the end of the day, we just have to see what is not right in the body, which is causing hyperactivity, which is affecting their neurotransmitters, and we fix that. If she is not communicating, like said, some part of the brain is not fully developed, or
Only using the gesture, sir. She's only using her gesture for for her needs. And mama, papa, dada, only a wording kind of, not a
so
two
I
word.
can, so Archana, with all surety, I can assure you, if she is uttering words, she can start communicating. But yes, it takes effort and time and patience. If we are willing to for that, it can be for sure taken care. Again, we are not playing any god here. Based on the experience with other parents and kids we have, I can assure you that it can be resolved.
And so that's why I've already spoken to your, your receptionist also, and we are in getting into touch also, right? So I'll do the registration as soon as possible this week only, and we'll get her treatment from your end also. But sir, just wanted to ask you one thing: how by till how many days I need more therapy for her?
No, see, let's say अगर घड़ा उल्टा है ना,
हम्म
उसमें पानी डालना चाहते हो, डल पाएगा क्या? घड़े को
नहीं
पहले सीधा करोगे फिर पानी डालेगा उसके अंदर।
हाँ
अगर आप मेरे को कोई चीज पे ट्रेन करना चाहते हो, मेरे को आप मैथमेटिक्स सिखाना चाहते हो फॉर एग्जांपल, मेरा ब्रेन तो हेल्दी होना चाहिए तभी मैं सीख पाऊंगा उसको।
यस
अब प्रॉब्लम क्यों है कि ब्रेन अनहेल्दी है? सिर्फ ट्रेनिंग से तो काम नहीं बनेगा। लेकिन अगर ब्रेन को हेल्दी कर दिया, आपको ट्रेनिंग करने का जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगा, वैसे ही जो ब्रेन ने काम करना है वो कर लेगा। आपको मेरे को किसी ने ट्रेन थोड़ा ना किया था बोलने के लिए, हम
नो
तो
नो
एनवायरमेंट से सीख गए।
हाँ
अच्छा, अंदर से अंदर का इशू है ना, इट्स इंटरनल प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द बॉडी एंड द ब्रेन, उसको इंटरनली फिक्स करना है, दैट्स ऑल।
Yes, I know. So that's why, I've already have reviewed from many of the persons, not only that lady, and many of them have told me that just go with Ashwani Garg and you will get your daughter recover very soon. Your daughter is of age 4.2 only and she will get recover. Now also you can hear she's only using the babbling words, eh, they, bye, like kind of.
अच्छा, वो ठीक हो जाएंगे।
Mhm. Okay, sir. And sir, one query more. I just wanted to ask: is there any, because I've seen that this kind of kids, we don't need to prefer more chocolates and milk kind of products. Is it true? Because my daughter always eating chocolates also, milk products also.
Please don't do chocolates, don't do milk, don't do gluten. See, it's a complex problem, Archana. It's a solvable but complex problem. The first
Okay.
thing to solve the brain issue, we have to reduce inflammation. तो कोई भी चीज जो इन्फ्लेमेशन करती है उसको बंद करना पड़ेगा। मीठा है, शुगर्स है, डेयरी है, ग्लूटेन है, व्हाइट राइस, ये सबको बंद करना चाहिए अपने को। पहले उनको अच्छा कर लेना चाहिए, फिर देखेंगे चॉकलेट का बिजनेस, चॉकलेट खा पाता है कि नहीं खाता। एटलीस्ट दिस सी अगेन, अर्लियर वी इंटरवीन मोर एंड बेटर चांसेस ऑफ रिकवरी, है ना। जितना ज्यादा हम एफर्ट डालेंगे उतना चांसेस ज्यादा बन जाएगा अपना।
Sir,
अपना
one daughter is there, one girl is there in our therapy center. तो वो लेडी की ही बेटी थी जिन्होंने आपका रेफरेंस दिया है। सर वो ना मतलब मेरी डॉटर जैसी भी नहीं थी, वो तो इतनी हाइपर थी लाइक दैट कि मतलब शी डजंट नो हाउ वेयर हर शूज, हाउ टू ओपन द शूज, हाउ टू क्लोज द शूज। मेरी डॉटर तो ये सारी चीजें कर लेती है, वो एकदम आती थी और मतलब गेट से जस्ट शी रैन अवे लाइक काइंड ऑफ, and now she's very settled kind of and she's speaking the sentences also.
तो अच्छा, स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट बच्चों का अलग हो सकता है, किसी को ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, उसके हिसाब से उनका बिहेवियर, उनका तकलीफ, उनका डेफिशिएंसी ज्यादा है। अपने बच्चे का कम है तो रिलेटिवली आपका जर्नी इजी रहेगा।
बट सर मैंने देखा वो उन्होंने जब से आपसे ट्रीटमेंट लिया उनके बच्चे में ड्रास्टिक चेंज आया सर।
तो पॉसिबल तो है ही ना अर्चना, वही हम कह रहे हैं कि ब्रेन रिपेयर हो सकता है ना। हम भी वही देखते हैं, जो भी हम बच्चों के साथ काम करते हैं, जो पेरेंट्स स्टिक करते हैं, टेक्स टाइम, समय लगता है लेकिन हो जाता
ओके सर, मोर ओवर कितने समय लगते हैं सर?
है। 6-9 महीने आपके बच्चे के लिए मुझे लगता है कि जैसे आप बता रहे हो, ऐसे मैं कोई मतलब ज्योतिषी तो नहीं हूँ, लेकिन 6 महीने में काफी अच्छा हो सकता है।
अच्छा, ओके सर, ओके, आई विल स्टार्ट इट।
So we'll take one last question. Swati, you can unmute yourself.
Hello,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
डॉक्टर मुझे ये पूछना है कि मेरा बेटा है वो वर्बल है, बातें कर लेता। मैंने आयुर्वेदिक ट्रीटमेंट ली थी, उसके बाद वो 1.5 महीने के बाद ही उसने बोलना चालू कर दिया। तो ही इज स्पीकिंग इन फुल सेंटेंस एंड ऑल। बट अभी ऐसा है कि उसमें वर्बल स्टिमिंग है। वो सेंटेंस सिचुएशन के हिसाब से लर्न भी कर लेता है। पहले वो नहीं करता था, बट उसने करना चालू किया, फिर बोलना बोलता है। बट स्टिल मुझे लगता है कि उसको जो इंटरेस्ट वाली चीजें हैं वही वो दिन भर बोलता है, बाकी भी सिचुएशन बेस्ड वो लर्न कर रहा है, सीख रहा है, पर वर्बल स्टिमिंग है। तो वो मुझे लगता है कि वो कैसे इम्प्रूव करे, उसका कॉज क्या हो सकता है, किस वजह से वो वर्बल स्टिमिंग में अटका है, जबकि उसने बहुत जल्दी उसने बोलना चालू कर दिया आफ्टर द ट्रीटमेंट। बट मैं वहां मैं यहाँ पे स्टक हो गई हूँ कि वो बोलता है बट वो वर्बल स्टीमिंग में जा रहा है या स्टीमिंग में जा रहा है, कुछ बिहेवियर उसके स्टीमिंग में है। मेरा फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है। एंड द सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज दैट कि वो बोल रहा है, सेंटेंसेस सब कुछ हो रहा है, क्या अभी वो 5 साल का है तो मुझे स्पीच थेरेपी की जरूरत पड़ेगी उसको करेक्ट वे से सिखाने के लिए, या वो एनवायरनमेंट से ही सीख जाएगा? ऐसा 5 साल के बाद न्यूरोप्लास्टिसिटी है वो कम हो जाती है, देन स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे से उनको लैंग्वेज सिखानी पड़ती है। तो इज इट लाइक दैट? डू आई नीड स्पीच थेरेपी टू इम्प्रूव हिज लैंग्वेज स्किल?
राइट। सो तो पहला चीज और दूसरी चीज का पहले आंसर कर देते हैं कि स्पीच थेरेपी क्या है। You don't know how to use your muscles and tongue and all of that to produce a sound. कुछ
Okay.
वर्ड को आपको प्रोनाउंस करना है, आपको नहीं मालूम है कैसे यूज करना है, then speech therapy is make you able to do that, but speech therapy cannot help you communicate, right?
Okay.
अगर आपका बच्चा वर्ड्स को अटर कर रहा है तो स्पीच थेरेपी से तो उससे कम्युनिकेशन तो इंटरनली आएगा ना, उसको इंटरनली हीलिंग होने से आएगा।
सिचुएशन में ये मैंगो आने मतलब बहुत सारे सेंटेंस बोल लेता है, बट कहीं पे ग्रामेटिकल मिस्टेक्स कर रहा है, कहीं पे उसको प्रोनाउंस नहीं समझ रहा है करेक्टली, और
अंडरस्टैंडिंग का प्रॉब्लम है। आप मेरी प्लीज समझे बात, मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ। स्पीच थेरेपी से I don't know how to pronounce a specific word, for example. I'm not good at it. You can train me, teach me how to use muscles, roll your tongue and twist your lip and all of that to produce certain sounds, which is good. But I can produce those sounds, but I don't know how to communicate. I don't know how to receive your question, interpret your question and give you answer. वो तो मेरे ब्रेन का क्षमता है ना, वो क्षमता को तो इंटरनली डेवलप करना पड़ेगा।
ओके
तो अंदर का क्षमता बढ़ाना पड़ेगा, ब्रेन का क्षमता बढ़ाना पड़ेगा, लेट्स पुट इट दैट वे। न्यूरोप्लास्टिसिटी मरते दम तक रहता है, ये भूल जाइए, वो कम ज्यादा हो सकता है। छोटा बच्चा ज्यादा न्यूरोप्लास्टिसिटी होगा, बाद में कम हो जाए, लेकिन होगा जरूर, इंप्रूवमेंट हमेशा ही आएगा, कम ज्यादा हो सकता है। अब आपने आयुर्वेदिक ट्रीटमेंट किया, उसमें कुछ चीजें फिक्स हो गई हैं, लेकिन हो सकता है अभी भी चीज, अगर अभी भी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हुए तो चीजें पेंडिंग है, पूरा ठीक नहीं हुआ है। उसको देखना चाहिए, समझना चाहिए कि अभी भी क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स है। टिपिकली स्टिमिंग के पीछे इन्फेक्शंस का एक बड़ा रोल है, जिसके चलते न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स बिगड़ जाते हैं। तो इन्फेक्शंस होते हैं इन बच्चों में, पैरासिटिक फंगल इन्फेक्शन, क्लोस्ट्रीडियम इन्फेक्शन, ये बहुत रहते हैं बच्चों में। तो उसको अभी भी थोड़ा काम अपने कर लिया है, विच इज ग्रेट। जो पेंडिंग है उसको कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए। आपका जो डॉक्टर है वो कर ले या कहीं और से कर ले, जो भी प्रॉब्लम अभी भी परसिस्टिंग है उसके ऊपर काम करना चाहिए आगे।
ओके
श्योर इट विल रिजॉल्व।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू।
All right. So Bharat, you had already asked your question. Do you still have a question?
Yeah, just a follow-up question. So like I just wanted to know like what happens after 3 months? Like I understand like we do the tests again and I think hopefully like I think the issue like we'll like will reduce the like supplements
So,
or whatever. Yes, sir.
Bharat, it's a science of optimization. If you're a software engineer, for example, you make one software, you keep fixing the bugs, right? Keep making it more efficient, more efficient. वही हम करते हैं. We try to make the system brain more efficient. So we keep removing what is not required, keep adding what is required. Now, not necessarily after 3 months that we can reduce the number of supplements. We might stop one kind of supplement, add another kind of supplement, right? The first job is cleaning job. Let's say brain को repair करना है. Before I repair, I have to stop what is doing the damage on the repair body. Damaging चीजों को हटूंगा, फिर मैं repair के ऊपर अलग-अलग चीजें करूंगा. It's not easy, okay? Brain repair is quite a complex process. That is why a lot of doctors give up. It's so complex. We all are learning. Nobody has absolute this thing. But then over a period of time, while working with thousands of these children, we have sort of gained some level of understanding to make our way ahead.
So, all right. So, Madhu, I hope that answers your question, whether the damage happened to the brain is curable. That's what we are working on. We have to first stop the triggers for the damage and then work on brain repair.
No, to add to that question, I just the concern here is like for cerebral palsy. If you remember, I mean, if for my knowledge, like the oxygen is not supplied initially to the brain, so the reason the damage happened. So whatever damage happened at the time of birth, will that be curable?
Right. So, Madhu, first of all, that's what very, very categorically I said that I am not saying the cerebral palsy 100% I can fix. I'm not claiming that. Can we improve that? Yes, we can improve. Now, body is constantly remaking itself. So the fixed rule of the game, जो बोलते हैं कि once it's damaged, body is actually not like that. Body has that ability and tendency to make repairs, right? Maybe not 100% repair, maybe 60%, maybe 80%, maybe 50%. That only will come to know once we start the work.
Okay.
But I can for sure say that, let's say now down the line, we work for 6-9 months. We start from one point A, we will certainly move to point B. We will have gains. We will have a lot of gains.
Okay.
So, all right. We wanted to end at 8:30. We've already extended beyond 8:30. So we will wrap up for now. You have further questions, please reach out to the team. Dr. Meera and Anwar, they have been in touch with you to kind of guide you all to this webinar today. So be in touch with them. Dr. Meera has also shared her number, and you can join our WhatsApp community to stay in touch and be informed about our upcoming sessions and other informative articles, posts that we keep sharing. And thank you all of you for being a part of today's webinar. Thanks, Meera and Anwar, for putting your efforts to organize this.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sarji, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
A very good evening, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.